Hey there, it's Erica from Ever Educating. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm all about teaching tips for new college instructors, especially EdTech more recently. And today I'm doing somewhat of a follow-up video about discussion design ideas for online classes, because I already have a video and a blog post about design ideas for in-class discussions that happen in the classroom. Here's a few ideas of how you can create some really engaging activities that happen online. So if you're looking for those, go ahead and watch the rest of this video. The first idea is something that happens all the time, where you do small group discussions that then lead to a whole class discussion. So there's different ways of doing this in an online classroom. To me, the best ways would be either doing breakout rooms using Zoom or doing different chat rooms using your LMS software. So with Zoom, it's basically you have a whole class discussion and then you break them out into small groups to answer a prompt or a few prompts. And then after a certain period of time, you have them come back to the whole class discussion and you ask them, okay, a representative for each group, tell us what you've discussed. And then you can kind of go into a whole class discussion, and students each have their own ideas because they had some time to discuss it with their classmates in a small group. Now, another way of doing this, if you don't want to do it with video, is to do the chat room function. At least I know it's in my LMS software. So with this, you can create as many chat rooms as you want. And so once again, you can title the chat room, let's say, prompt 1 through prompt 4, and you break up your students into groups, right? So you 5 are doing prompt 1, you are doing prompt 2, etc., etc. Then they have time to discuss it, live, right? So it's not on video, but they're just chatting in the chat room. And as an instructor, you can go around to each chat room and kind of chime in as you want. But then once it does that for a while, then you can say, okay, go back to the main chat and bring these main ideas that you've all discussed. Or you can say, okay, everybody take 15 minutes, read through each chat room chat and kind of get ideas of what your classmates discussed, and then let's bring it all together and discuss it as well. Okay? Or you can do, hey, group 1 through 4, here are the 4 prompts, and then after 15 minutes, okay, switch. Go to the next chat room and add your own feedback. Go to the next chat room and add your own thoughts. And you can do it that way as well. So I think there's not enough, taking advantage of this chat room feature. So definitely I recommend trying it out with your own students. Another way to liven up your discussions in the classroom is to gamify them. And so I recommend Flippity. It's a free website for this, and I have a tutorial that I'll link below. But you can create a lot of different types of games. So you can create word games like word puzzles, crossword, word search, unscramble the letters, that kind of stuff. You also have a bingo game that you can create a timeline. So you can have students do some really interesting things there, where you might have, okay, break off into groups, and then for homework, go ahead and create a timeline of this particular process, of this particular theoretical framework, of this novel, whatever the case may be. And so you can have students create that in groups from home, and then once it's created, using the template, for example, with Flippity, then you can have students present their timelines to the class. And so they can each kind of share their ideas using something a bit more interactive. So you can use, again, Flippity for this if you want to do something like a timeline, or you can do maybe Canva, and they have a tutorial for that, and maybe each group creates their own infographic about a certain topic and then presents that to the classroom, right? So you can do that individually or in groups. But it's basically, the idea here is to have them create something either individually in a group that they can visually present to their classmates on a whole class discussion. And so rather than just being, we're all there on Zoom, either on video or not, waiting to chime in, you can have, well, you're all bringing this thing to this discussion, and you're going to share your screen and present it to each other to kind of help liven up discussion. Now, the discussion forum is another way on your LMS site to create conversation. And so this is very asynchronous, where you just have, here's this prompt, and then you have students reply in text form. You can also use Flipgrid to create a video version of this. And so again, I have a tutorial below, but the basic idea here is that you have, here's this prompt for a small activity to do, and then each of you have to answer in a 2-minute or a 5-minute or a 10-minute video in response to this prompt. And then as students do that, they can watch each other present information in their responses, and they can also reply to each other in video form as well. So on the LMS, you can just easily via text, But then with Flipgrid, you can have a video version if you prefer, if you find that to be more engaging or your students do. And so it's the same basic idea of asynchronous discussion, but you can do it in text or video form. So another way to have discussions online is using, for example, a Google document where you have all students, you share the document with all your students, and they can all edit it themselves. And so you can have, potentially you have a prompt written at the top of it, and then all students can answer below. Or you can have, if you're doing a live class via Zoom or whatever the case may be, then you can have, all right, well, this is what we're gonna plan out in this document. Go ahead and start chiming in. And so you can kind of create either a list of things, right? So let's say list of ideas for X aspect of our class, or give me examples of X thing in this novel, or describe this thing in 5 different ways. And you can have students enter it all into one document that can be used as a resource for everyone. And so this isn't so much a discussion as it is collaborative writing, but it can lead to a great discussion because you could say, okay, well, I see, 5 of you of the 15 mentioned this one element, but actually 3 of you didn't really understand what the element meant or how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and go over that material again in right now, right? And so the information could be anonymous, right? You might not know who wrote what, and you can use that to really further discussion in the future, knowing what students are thinking currently or what they're confused about currently. So, again, so we have using discussion forums, using Flipgrid, using chat rooms, using Zoom, or using this element as well, Google Docs, can all be great ways of creating a discussion type of feeling in your online classroom. You also might want to consider how your students can lead the discussion rather than you facilitating. And so you might, assign them different days where they're going to be leading the discussion on Zoom or on the discussion forum or whatever the case may be. Or you can have, for example, in a group activity. So you're going to divide them into groups of 3, and at some point in the semester, they're in charge of leading the whole, class period or a good chunk of it. And so part of their assignment here is designing an activity or discussion that will last that length of time. And so that can give a lot of power to the students and have them, you can focus on an element of the class that really interests them. So have them discuss, a novel, but they can choose how to analyze it for that class period. So this is basically a digital version of an assignment I already do, and I have a whole blog post about this assignment, which I'll link below as well. But it's definitely a way to give them more agency and more independent thinking in, what do they want to discuss in their discussion for the next class period or for 1 week in advance. Have them be the leaders rather than you always being the leaders can really change things up and make them more interesting for your students. If you found this video helpful, do click like below and let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time to do so because I give new teaching tips and edtech tutorials on a week-by-week basis.